Today, I'm going to be making a Halloween apron using this pattern, McCall's Crafts M6935 one size. It's going to be this one right here. And I'm using, for this, the red and white checked, I'm going to be using this fabric. For the bodice here and this ruffle, I'm going to be using this fabric. And then for the pocket and the straps and this ruffle, I'm going to be using the solid black fabric. All of these fabrics were bought at Joann, and these two are actually by the same designer. I don't remember the name offhand, but I'll try to remember to pop it on screen or put a link down in the description box. And so that's why the colors match so well. It's the same designer, and so the colors are very complementary.
Hi, my name's Rachel, and I'm the Creepy Crone. I'm a writer and a crafter, and I love all things spooky. I'm part of a group of women who are here to show you that living the creepy, chaotic, or crafty life doesn't stop at 50. It's okay to be spooky. It's okay to be artsy. It's okay to be you. Welcome to the Crone Cartel.
Hello, my cronies. So today I'm going to be sewing a Halloween apron. We've got to start by going over the instructions and, of course, cutting out the pattern. I actually do read the instructions. I don't always follow them perfectly, but I do read them. I am in short sleeves because it's back up in the 80s here. Even though we're hitting the end of October, yeah, we're back in the 80s. I've already turned my AC back down. But I wanted to wear something Halloween, so here it is. This is actually a vest that I made last year. It was my first garment that I made with a lining. I made a mock-up before I made this. I am not one of those sewers who doesn't make mock-ups, simply because I am so new to sewing that I need the mock-up to figure out what I can potentially screw up in the final version, because inevitably I screw up something. And so if I, mess up the mock-up, it doesn't matter. If it works out, great. I've got a usable thing, item, garment, whatever. But if I mess it up, it's no big deal, because I go to the local thrift stores and get things like fabric and bed sheets, and that's what I use for my mock-ups. So I haven't invested a whole lot of money in them, and so if I mess something up, I don't feel as bad as I would if I messed up using, say, my more expensive fabric from Joann. So that's my tip. Mock-ups are tedious, yes. And I know that, the excitement is, oh, let's get to the real thing with the cute and cool fabric. But honestly, mock-ups are handy because they can prevent you from making costly mistakes. There's a little flower embellishment, and there's a pattern for it, but I'm not going to do that. If I do anything, if I add anything to the pocket, it'll be
you know, something Halloween related. Like a patch or a pin or something. I don't know, or just leave it black. The thing about sewing is it's about one part actually sewing and 9 parts doing tedious shit like this, to be honest. And you'll notice I don't even have my sewing machine out yet. Now, granted, if I were using a pattern that I'd already used before, I could save a lot of steps because I'd already have the pattern pieces cut out. I could go straight to the ironing and then pinning and cutting the fabric. But yeah, we're starting with a brand new pattern that I haven't made before, so lots of prep work for this one. And I will say, if you're cutting out a new pattern, you could, if you wanted to, go ahead and iron the fabric, iron the pattern, and yes, you do want to iron your pattern because you want to get these wrinkles and folds out as much as possible. And then you could just pin it and then cut away the edges. In fact, I don't know why I'm not doing that. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not doing that, to be honest. I've done that before. It's been a while since it's been a while since I've sewed a new thing. The Halloween pillow that I made, you know, I already had that cut out. So yeah, I could have done that. I still could. I could stop right now and go do that. But you know what? Commitment. Actually, let's just call it what it is. Capricorn stubbornness. I've started this way, and by God, I'm going to finish this way. That's me, the Capricorn. Okay, now that we have all of our pieces cut out, we never have to cut them out again. We're going to iron the pieces and iron the fabric, and I'm not going to film that because that is even more tedious than cutting out the pieces. But that's our next step, ironing, because that is part of the 9 parts tedious work, ironing. Like 1 part sewing, 9 parts cutting out fabric, cutting out pattern pieces, ironing everything multiple times because you have to iron the fabric, then you have to iron the seams. So basically, if you're sewing, keep your ironing board and iron handy at all times because you will need it. This is the opposite of what I need. It is the opposite. Hey, baby. So the knee pad idea I got from Rachel Maxey, and whoo boy, it saves me some wear and tear on my knees and helps reduce the pain. But yes, I am a floor goblin when it comes to cutting out my fabric pieces because I don't have a dedicated craft space. I have my dining room table, which sees more use as a craft table than it ever did for its original intended purpose. So yeah, my dining area is my craft area, and there's not enough room on the table for me to spread out the fabric and cut out the pieces, particularly if I'm making a larger garment. For this pattern, obviously, I have to be aware of direction. You know, I want it to match and I want it to be going in the correct direction. What else did I want to talk about? Do you remember? Let's see. Oh,
And I have my pin holder. This is actually a pumpkin that I got at Target last Halloween. The pins, I got a set of these on sale at Joann. My bowl is one that I got at a thrift store. I hot glued magnets to the bottom of them. So not only do I not lose my pins when I stick them, but I can also find them easily if I drop them. It's not so much an issue with these because they have the big visible head on them, but with the smaller pins that don't have such a wide head on them, yeah, this is invaluable. This was not my original idea. I've learned about this on YouTube, and I don't remember from whom, but this is invaluable to help pick up pins. You can just run it over the floor and anything metal, and then it'll also keep your pins safe while you're sewing. So I can just drop them in there and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's get to cutting. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ma'am. Ma'am. I need you to move. Yeah, it's not going to be, the fabric is not quite, because I've got to have it, this piece calls for it to be cut on the center fold. Well, in order to line up the pattern, I have to fold it horizontally. And so that means it's not going to be quite wide enough to fit the full piece. It looks like it's going to be probably about an inch or so, maybe a little more. But you know what? I'm a small person. And this is an apron, so we're just going to, as Tim Gunn would say, we're going to make it work. Okay, excuse me again. So with this fabric, the pattern is not as, well, let's see. Yeah, it does need to go this way because the bats. So sometimes it looks a little random, but then if you look at it closer, you can see some sort of detail. So for this, I will be folding, nope, I will be folding it like this for the center, because this is the top part and it calls for you to cut it on the center fold. And I want my bats to be in the right place. So I'm going to place this here. And this is the top. Ta-da! And so this will be the front top part. Alright, so now we're ready to cut the ruffles, and we're going to have the same problem that we had with the front piece. In order to line up the pattern correctly, it's not going to be quite wide enough, but since the apron part wasn't, this is not going to be a problem. We have to cut 3 strips of this from this fabric, and then 3 from the solid black. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so all that's left is to cut out the pocket and the straps. and that will be in the black. I'm debating whether I want to make 2 pockets. I'll start with 1 because it's an external patch type pocket, so if I want to add a second one later, I can. For this, we don't have to worry about a pattern, so okay, so now we have our pieces all cut out. We don't put away the fabric pieces just yet because there are, you know, all kinds of markings. It might be difficult to transfer the markings, but you can use chalk or, you know, like on the black, it's going to be hard to see, but you can use chalk, tailor's chalk, sewing chalk, that type of thing, to transfer any marks that you need to make. But yes, don't put it away quite yet. What I'm doing here is marking the placement line for the ruffles. And this is a pen specifically for this purpose, so it'll wash off. Plus it's on the back, so it's not going to be seen very easily. All right, I'm just making little marks, and then I'm going to go in with a ruler. Okay. So let's see what the instructions say we should do first. So we have to make the pocket first according to the instructions. So we're going to do that. We're going to pin it. The instructions want you to gather it, but I don't particularly like that idea because I like a nice big roomy pocket. So I think I'm going to leave it like that and then just sew it on. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do because you know what? It's my apron and I can modify it however I want to. And I like big pockets. I'm thinking I might French seam this. That's a technique that Creepy Crone taught me when she taught me how to sew. It was last summer, one of the very beginning lessons. Okay, so now we clip the threads. You can see it's got it all the way around. Turn it inside out. And you're going to have a nice, secure, reinforced seam, which is excellent for pockets. So, you know, you've got that extra reinforcement along the side, and it makes the pocket a little sturdier along the seams. Okay. Now we iron it again. Okay, I've skipped ahead a little bit. So as you can see, I have lined up the placement of the pocket according to the pattern piece and pinned it to the front, and now we're just going to sew around there to lock it in place, and then that part will be finished. We'll have a pocket, a complete pocket. The rest of the apron is nowhere near finished, but hey, the pocket is done. All right, so we're going to do that. Okay. I decided I did not like the raw edges showing, so I double folded the side and bottom seams. Now we're going to sew these seams, and then it's time. I believe the ruffles are next. Okay. So now we have the main bottom with the pocket gathered and it's hemmed. Now we start on the ruffles. Okay, so this is day 2 and I am beginning the lengthy and tedious process of pinning and hemming the ruffles. I've already got the cat ruffle pinned and folded. I am doing a double fold along the sides and the bottom, and then because it's not really going to be seen, I'm just taking a shortcut and doing a single fold across the top of the ruffles. And I've got my iron, my pins, and I'm going through and painstakingly folding, ironing, and pinning along the edges, and I've got to do all 4 sides on all 3 of the ruffles. So I've finished the cat print ruffle. Now I've got to do the black one and the candy pattern, and then I'll be finished with the ruffles, and I can hem them and then sew them onto the apron. Progress. These are the straps. Yeah, I didn't make a black ruffle. Oh my god. Try this again, a little higher. With my helper. Hey, baby.